Le good morning, as they say, where?
Le French, that's what the French say.
Yeah, that's what the French say. Hello, French people.
Bonjour.
Le bonjour, that is. I'm here, and John Simmons, right?
Simons.
Simons. That is weird.
I'm a used tampon.
John is a used tampon, and I'm just ducking happy you're here. Hey, it's raining, it's cold, and apparently we do rants on the balcony.
Yep. Let's do it.
HBRs, Henning's balcony rants. Yeah, we're gonna. Oh, this is nice. Ooh, we can go all the way down. Neat, huh?
It's quite nice.
Comfy. MrGugu.com. I don't get paid, but you get a nice hoodie. Also, I think 20% off with my coupon code. Again, I get nothing from that, but you get to spend less. So if you want to look like a used tampon, like John does. John's visiting, and we thought we'll do some balcony rants. And I want to start with brand loyalty is idiotic. So what do I mean by that? John's probably gonna just nod the most.
For this rant, I'm gonna listen very.
You can also chime in because you can disagree with me.
We'll see.
Just don't disagree with me.
We'll see.
It's getting actually pretty warm. Damn it.
It's nice. I like it. It's okay. Okay.
So we all have our brands that we love over the years, and I made the video, why Marshall will fail, because Marshall is now an utterly different company. It's literally owned by the people that made headphones and Bluetooth speakers, and they're trying to find their way back into making amps, which is just 5% of their revenue. And you look at the list of people that work not just for the headphone and Bluetooth speaker company, but actually for Marshall proper in Milton Keyes, doing amplifiers. It's a whole new team. All the hires are after 2020. So there's no one there from the original team. So on my video, I got like 1,000 comments. And some people were like, yeah, but I really like my DSL, blah, blah. Yeah, but I bought my JCM in the 80s and I love it and it's great. And what are you talking about? Well, first of all, those people didn't watch the fucking video. And if you see Marshall will fail and then people will come in and just comment, yeah, but I like my Marshalls. You can love your Marshalls. I have some and they're great amps. It's not the point at all. But then you have to ask yourself, what do you love and who made them? And when were they made? And do you love that amp because it has the Marshall logo on it? And can Marshall still deliver that? Or is it possibly because of the people? Why am I'm literally looking at the microphone the whole time instead of looking in the lens.
It's a nice looking microphone.
Yeah, but that's just... have I done this before? Hello, I'm Henning. This is my first YouTube video. The whole time, I'm looking at the mic. Wow. I'm sorry, I'm going to have some more coffee before I continue. So, brand loyalty. Let's go with Marshall.
Yeah.
If you are a diehard Marshall fan, are you a fan of that logo, which is a good possibility because you grew up with Slash and Angus Young and everyone else, playing Marshall, and having that logo on your amp brings you closer to the music that you cherished and that made you the person that you are. I fully get that. So you buy the next amp and you want that logo behind you because it makes you feel like you're Paul Gilbert, like you're Richie Black something, that guy, and everyone else that played the amps, a billion people. But is that loyalty in the brand placed not respectfully, correctly? Let's say correctly, because what if, let's go crazy here. What if Marshall was sold to a Chinese conglomerate? They're now completely made in China.
Which also already kind of is the case with a lot of stuff.
But let's say they're not owned by, actually now they're owned by Swedish people. It's not
yeah.
Chinese, but I mean, let's go crazy. They are.
Okay. Completely.
Let's go back.
Yeah.
They are actually made in North Korea,
Oh yeah.
and Kim Jong Un owns it. Okay, let's go crazy, and he uses, dried rice to build the chassis, and that's probably racist what I'm saying, but it very likely is, and he's using the cheapest components, and it's all plastic and whatever, but it's got the Marshall logo. This is of course an exaggeration, but are you still going to buy Marshall? Likely not, right? Because they're like, well, it's not the same thing anymore. So how far does a company have to be removed from what you loved and cherished and what they made that gave it the name and that gave it the gravitas and the weight that you love? How far do they have to go away? How many people have to change in the company for you to not be loyal to the brand name? Because I argue with Marshall, everything changed. It's still the same building, I think, but usually everything changed. So oftentimes, everything changes about a company. So the investment that investors invest is in the brand name. Because the brand name is, because of you people, and us too, is where the money is. But that could mean that once you buy the brand, you change factories, you fire everyone. You usually don't know unless you maybe hear from people like us or you read industry news. But to you, everything stays the same because look, it's the same logo, so it's the same thing. But does it mean that it's the same quality? But even does that even matter? Wouldn't your loyalty have to be to the people who made the product that you love? If you bought a JCM in 79 and you absolutely loved it because it was a great design, it was built well, when that great design was made by a person, it was built by people. Wouldn't you love to continue buying amps from exactly that group of people? Wouldn't your loyalty have to be to those people? Right? Why would it be to the logo? If, let's say, in 2010, it's completely different people, completely different designer, different philosophy about quality control, different philosophy about what transformer to use, whatever, all that bullshit. The logo stays the same, yes. Different owners, different people building it, different people designing it. So technically, how much does it have to do with that amp that you fell in love with in 79? The logo's the same.
A lot of people really don't care. I think, like, maybe a lot of intermediate players, they don't even, let's say somebody who has like one guitar and wants to buy one little amplifier and doesn't know a whole lot about tone. They just want, Marshall, that's that brand that I know and that Slash plays, right? And that's why they buy a little Marshall. They don't care about all that stuff.
Yeah, but that's not brand loyalty. That's getting into it.
That's true.
And you're getting into it because you've seen it somewhere and you don't know much yet. But talking to people who say, well, I will only buy Fender.
Yeah, okay.
Because I love Fenders.
Yeah.
And, I've got a Fender from the 70s and I absolutely love it. Well, Fender's moved to other owners. How many people are there from back then? Is it still the same factory? With Fender, a lot of is yes. I think is it the same quality that you can get from a small builder? No, but they do keep their stuff kind of in order. But again, the loyalty is, I love Fender. Well, but do you? No. You loved what you bought from Fender, which was made by people. Companies are not buildings and companies are not logos. Companies are people. And you love an amp from certain people.
Yeah.
And I'm going to step on some toes here, as I usually do. But again, people are buying up brands. And then you think, well, let's go to Soldano. Hi, Avi. Sorry, I'm going to talk about this. Avi from Boutique Amps Distribution bought Soldano. Because it's a great amp brand. Mike Soldano made it what it is. And I think that the loyalty placed in the name is warranted here
Hmm. Mike is still involved,
There's a
right?
big hornet, by the way.
Yeah.
Mike is involved, I think, a little bit. I think less than people want to think.
Hmm. Yeah.
But in this case, it moved and is now owned by still great people.
Hmm.
Still people that care about the highest quality in amps. Still people that care about them being built beautifully, designed beautifully. There are other people involved in the design. It is not just Mike Soldano anymore. I think he just wanted to step back and, drink coffee, which is fine.
Yeah.
Which of course isn't communicated big time openly. So I cannot tell exactly how much he's involved. But the people that are involved are good people.
Hmm.
The factory that it's made in is great.
Hmm.
They use the highest components, no question about it. But a modern day Soldano, and I think that is not a secret, is not the same as a Soldano from the 90s.
Yeah.
Because it is made somewhere else by different people. Now, if you think, oh, I want a Soldano because, the logo and I love the sounds from back then, the new Soldanos, I think, are actually better. So there's no issue there. But you should still find out about it, know about it, and be aware of it, because it is now a different company.
Yeah.
Even worse, not worse. I mean, that's the wrong. Completely different situation. But VHT used to stand for metal amps, the highest quality. I mean, the Pitbull Ultra Lead, the Deliverance. This is hot shit, right? Amazing amps. Stephen Fryette behind them. He sold the VHT name and logo to a Chinese company who started to make amps that are completely different. They made little cheap Chinese 5 and 10 and 20 watt combos. Had literally nothing to do with his brand or his amps.
I did not know.
If you bought one of those VHT amps that literally had nothing to do with the VHT amps that we know and cherish, he just sold the image.
Yeah.
What stood behind it was Chinese little tube combos, and I think they're already gone again. His amps are now under the name Fryette.
Hmm.
So if you buy a Fryette, what you're getting is the brilliance of VHT amps. Exactly the same person, exactly the same team, but it's a different logo. So if your brand loyalty moved with the logo, you're all of a sudden buying Chinese combos that have nothing to do with Fryette, and you would have to learn, oh, by the way, the people that I love are now Fryette. And in that case, that's the funny thing, there was no brand loyalty for the logo because the people changed their brand loyalty to Fryette amplification because they understood that the people stayed the same, but the logo changed. Why doesn't that work for other companies? Let's say Marshall. The Marshall people moved and they formed, a lot of the engineers, a lot of the team from Marshall went away 2000, late 90s, I don't know when that was, and they formed Blackstar Amplification. Now, Blackstar is actually the stuff, or in the early days of Blackstar, not now. Now they do other things. But in the early days of Blackstar, that's what the Marshall actually was. That was the people that you bought from when you bought Marshall. That was the engineers, the people building. So technically, if you want to be loyal to the people that made the product that you love and cherish, what Marshall fans should have done is unequivocally just move to Blackstar and buy Blackstar amps, because that was the continuation of the brand. But instead of moving with the people that built the amps that you loved, you stayed with the logo. And behind the logo was all of a sudden a whole new team, a whole new owner. And I find that very strange that we do that. I'm pointing at you, but of course, we do this. So let's go to the big G, because So the big G very clearly defined what we think of rock and roll. Hendrix played a Gibson all of his life, just turned it around. Everyone knows that Hendrix made the Les Paul what it is.
Of course. Of course, and Jimmy Page was known for playing a Strat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we look at Jimmy Page, we look at so many, we look at Slash, we look at Zach Wild, we look at all these people, and that image of that guitar is ingrained in our minds, which is why you people want to buy it with that headstock. Even this idiot right there. He plays my Heritage like, I don't like the headstock. It's a phenomenal guitar. All that matters is the headstock.
Well, not all that matters. It was a great guitar, but my Gibsons are just really good guitars. Otherwise, I wouldn't play them because I don't play crappy guitars. But I'll let you tell your story.
But if we fell in love with what they've done for rock and roll in the early days, what they defined, and we love those guitars, you have to realize that what now is Gibson, not a single person is still there. It was led by Henry, who was an idiot, and then JC, who lied to us, and now it's Cesar, I don't know who that is. Then there's the super arrogant Agnesi idiot who just want to
Pet.
What a nice person. But apart from that, completely new people, completely new investors who bailed out Gibson, who are not interested in guitars, they're interested in money. People in the factory are not the same people. The factory is not the same factory. The actual factory is a Heritage factory. That's where Gibson started. The machines are in the Heritage factory. So let's go back. We have new machines, we have new people, we have a new building, we have new owners, new leadership. Not a single person is the same. It's not the same building. It's not the same machines. It's probably not the same wood suppliers as in the early days. It's very likely not the same drying methods for the wood. Everything about the manufacturing, the leadership, the marketing, everything changed. The only thing that stayed the same is the logo. Now, there's a factory in, is it Memphis or Nashville?
Nashville, I think. But I could be wrong.
Wherever Heritage is. With
Memphis. I don't know.
Yeah, with a lot of the original workers, same building, now owned by Music something. Forgot it. Who's behind Mono and Tesco pedals? Is it Tesco? I think so. From Singapore, very nice people, and they're passionate about the brand, but that is more original than Gibson is. We're talking about such a long time stretch that the same people is kind of tough in that regard. But the thing is, the brand loyalty to Gibson lies in, I want that logo, whereas everything else changed. It's a completely new company. So why would we put our faith and trust in that company when those original guitars that defined rock and roll, which I'm fully with you, are not even, it's a completely different company. Why would you not say, well, who made those guitars? And by the way, the Zach Wild guitars were not built by Gibson at all. Do you know that?
You mean the old ones, or?
Yeah, his original, like the, they were made by a small luthier who's very, very good under license to Gibson.
I didn't know.
So, and I think some of the Slash guitars too. So the stuff that we actually really love, that defined rock and roll, isn't even Gibson. It was made by someone else under license.
And Slash's favorite Les Paul, isn't that also a fake Les Paul or something? I'm not a huge Slash connoisseur.
I don't know. But the thing is, as soon as we see the logo, our loyalty goes to the logo. Whereas our loyalty should go to the people that made the gear that we love. And then once these people move somewhere, shouldn't our loyalty move with them?
And you know how far that loyalty goes. Even if we see videos of them taking hundreds of guitars, putting it on the ground, and then they were riding over it with what's it called, like and destroying all those guitars, and all the videos and photos that I've seen of guitars coming out of the factory broken, and but people are very forgiving still about that because they're so loyal to the brand.
The headstock breaks, the bad quality, the customer service that is horrible. the Murphy Labs just, falling apart. But we're going to get to Gibson in a different video. This is about brands in general. So let's go to AKG, for example. What have you heard from AKG lately?
I don't know.
So what is AKG known for? The 414, certain mics,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
A mic that defined a lot. I mean, an SM57 and a 414 in front of a cab, that's a thing. And of course, great headphones,
Mm-hmm.
right? For a generation that's, they make great stuff. So what do we know from AKG now? Is anyone still buying AKG? I'm still looking at the mic and I don't know why. It's blue.
We're still getting started. It's okay.
So AKG is I wonder if there is a brand loyalty to AKG from AKG fans. It's not as diehard as Fender, Gibson, whatever, Marshall. But AKG don't do anything new anymore because the whole development team, everyone that was anyone at that company, went away. AKG Austrian company. Now, if we look into Austria, there's two relatively new microphone/headphone companies. One company that does primarily microphones and an interface is Lewitt. When you look at the shape of Lewitt mics, it's kind of apparent that they're technically 414-ish, right? And that is because it's the AKG team that moved from AKG to Lewitt and is now making any variation of that 414 shape in more modern, more affordable, more high-end. You can get the 1040 for $3,500 and it's an amazing mic. So if you're into AKG microphones, what you should be buying is Lewitt, because that is the actual new and improved AKG. But you have to know about it, which isn't really that tough. Now, if you need headphones, and some of the best headphones out there, wait, I can probably, wait. There's always a pair of them somewhere. I think these are the inexpensive ones. Oh yeah, they're the 55s, I think. They're about $100. HX15. I've got the whole range from Austrian Audio. Austrian Audio, I mean, we know where they're from. Belgium. They're from Austria. And the AKG team that was primarily responsible for the headphone stuff moved to Austrian Audio. They also have microphone engineers, which is why they make great microphones. If you look at the OC16 and OC18, what does it look like? It looks like a 414. So some of the team started Austrian Audio. Maybe there was a disagreement in the team. Possible. Maybe there were people that didn't get along at AKG. And they said, fuck this, we all just go our own way and we might do our own thing. And then one group started Lewitt very successfully. One group did Austrian Audio. And the people doing the headphones moved to Austrian Audio. They also make great mics, but the headphones are the shit. So if you're into AKG headphones, what are you going to buy now? Are you going to buy the AKG headphones that are technically the same designs, but probably made by people that have nothing to do with AKG anymore? Probably made in...
with more affordable parts.
Yeah, who knows?
Stuff.
But the people that really cared about, passionately, headphone design and moving forward and making the best shit out there, they're now building these. So technically, if you're a fan of the 240s and all those AKG headphones, wouldn't you buy Austrian Audio knowing that the people that made the shit you loved can now be supported and actually make better shit? Who knows? But I mean, continue to do what they're passionate about at Austrian Audio. So any AKG fan should technically look at Austrian Audio and Lewitt. But who does that? Very few people do that. Because we don't know about, most people don't know about who moves on to what company. And, Telefunken. Super high-end mics. But who bought them? Who's behind them? What investor group? And what's their actual goal? Is it to be passionate about microphones? For example, I know that the people from Music Something in Singapore are massively passionate about the Les Pauls that Heritage builds. They're not in it for a multi-million, billion-dollar paid check at the end, like the G people, because the people that invested in Gibson, they don't care about guitar sales. I think what the goal is, what they're going for. They have a long-term plan. We'll talk about that in another video. But I think our loyalties should move with people and not stay with a stupid logo, because the factory people, production methods, quality control, ownership, everything behind that logo can change drastically. I mean, let's say you love the brand because of the ethics of the people behind it. Could be you saw interviews with them, Jim Marshall, great guy, and all of a sudden you keep buying Marshall because you love it. And I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just hypothetical. Let's say amplifier company X, okay? And then you keep buying them and you find out that the people behind it are all massive Scientologists. And all the money is going to L. Ron Hubbard's kids or whatever that you spend on the amps. Would you have an issue with that or not? All I'm saying is the people behind the products matter way more than the logo or anything else. And if you love a product, then follow the people who made it, right?
I've been sitting here listening like a used tampon would, but I hope that the viewers also, just like me, from now on will take that into account. It's not something that I've thought about a lot of times, because that's also why I've said almost nothing this entire video, but it's definitely something to think about and to be more aware of when you're buying stuff. It's easy to go onto Google and just look, for those things like, where did the people from Marshall go? And then you'll probably find out that one of them formed a plugin company, Scuffum.
Yep.
Like Scuffum, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he designed the JMP1 preamp or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a very cool amplifier, by the way.
Or James Santiago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He worked for Marshall, amazing amp designer.
Mm-hmm.
Where is he now? He's at UA. Oh, you still haven't played the Lion. We need to do that. And he's the guy behind the Lion. Now this guy knows Marshalls.
Mm-hmm.
Like the back of his butt cheek.
Mm-hmm.
And if he makes a modeling pedal
Mm-hmm.
that does a Marshall, that's the shit. Because he was one of the main guys at Marshall. He's also the guy behind the Aux and loads of other UA pedals. So if you love the expertise of that man, now you got to look at UA and the modeling stuff he's doing. Marshall wants to get into modeling, but one of the main guys that does some of the best models on the market is now at UA. So they should try to get him back, because that would be their chance to actually really do high-end modeling shit. But let's go for a second into our world. Because in our world of doing YouTube videos, the follow the person and not the brand is way more apparent, because we build a relationship with someone in marketing. Let's say I'm going to say Houston Ketna. Okay? So here's a brand that I built a relationship with. They did a lot of things, and the people in marketing were very dear to my heart. Great people. They did YouTube events. They invited us there. We hung out. We played in a big stadium with Rockin' 1000. Lots of memories, lots of cool things. And with that marketing team, they had a big presence on YouTube, and they did cool things. And then they fired the head of marketing and someone else. And all of a sudden, someone else left because they didn't like the way that was going. And my main man, in marketing then said, this is all falling apart. I'm going to go.
Yeah.
So for us, no relationship anymore with the company, because the people that we talk to aren't the developers, aren't the bosses, aren't the CEOs. It was the marketing guys. So they're gone, but they leave with their friendships and relationships, right? And all of a sudden, that guy has a job somewhere else, marketing amplifiers, working with us. And all of a sudden, what happens? We talk about those amplifiers because as stupid as it is, we go with the connections.
Mm-hmm.
So wherever that guy goes, right now, he went to a different amp company, and right now, if I need a mic stand, I talk to him because that's where he works, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I need a DI box or power supply, or he needs a DI box or power supply promoted, we talk. But all of a sudden, I don't promote using Kettner amp anymore. How much have you heard about using Kettner lately? Nothing. So they did relinquish themselves of most of their marketing team, and then one of the main designers left. The main guy behind using Kettner amp design died.
Mm-hmm.
They have a new guy now, who's young and talented, but they completely have to find themselves again when it comes to amplifiers. And the new using Kettner is not going to be what we know, because, well, marketing team is not responsible for the amplifiers, but the people responsible for the amplifiers are new people now with new design philosophies, and that can be great, but it doesn't mean it's the same product that you used to.
Should get a different name,
But
kind of.
but the thing is, the people buy the name, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes that happens. I mean, Victory came out of what were these really high-end
Yeah,
British amps?
Cornford.
Cornford,
Yeah.
And they are the people behind Cornford. But Cornford was made a certain way, and Victory amps are made, I think, some in the UK, but probably also something in Asia, and in different price points. But if you like the Cornford sound, then that definitely transferred to Victory. But you have to know about it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, for us, our relationship in this industry really moves with the people in this industry. Now, sometimes we have a killer relationship with a brand and we work with that brand, and then all of a sudden, nothing. Because the person that we talk to moves on. Now, I had a great relationship with my guy at Fender. Absolutely killer. He moved on to Fender brands, and then now nothing happens anymore. There was no Jackson, no Gretsch, nothing on my channel. And the new guy at Fender, I had to completely start over with. And we did some things, and then we don't do things now. It's okay. But the thing is, for us, the brand loyalty looks very different, because we work with the brand, and then all of a sudden you don't see the brand at all on our channel anymore. And that is because a single person moved on. And all of a sudden, either we work with where they went because we have that relationship, or we have to fight really hard to build that complete relationship from scratch, right? It happens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Because let's say boutique amps.
Mm-hmm.
We work with Stefan.
Mm-hmm.
If he's not there anymore, that's not our contact anymore, who do you talk to?
No idea.
Who do you talk to for Tone King, Soldano, Friedman? Do you have an email? Do you have a phone number? Do you have anyone? Where do you go? That group of brands hinges for you,
Yeah.
because that's your contact, on one person. And when that contact is gone, you could try to get in with the new person. But the question is, your whole history, what you've done, the videos you've done, the quality of videos you've done. If we can talk about quality with your videos. I'm kidding. He makes kick-ass shit. All that.
Mm-hmm.
Does the new person even know? Or do you have to start proving yourself to that new person? Is that new person going to go through your channel and say, oh, he's done this and this, which they should.
Definitely.
They should, but they don't. So they should look at the channel and say, oh, he's done 20 videos for our brands and they're good and he loves the shit. Ah, great. No. You literally have to start over. And there's a good chance that the new person, they have their favorite group of channels that they watch that they would like to work with. And the people having done work in the past might not even be on their radar.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible that all of a sudden the new person, if there is ever a new person, would completely, at first, ignore you. And you have to point them at, oh, by the way, look, we did all this. And I have these amps here, and I love your shit. Why aren't we talking? Because It's all about people.
Yeah.
That's really the main thing I'm trying
Yeah.
to say in this
Mhm.
half-hour video, whatever. It's all about people.
Yeah.
And I would say most of us move with a logo and not with the people.
Mhm.
But behind every amp, behind every guitar especially, because there's so much emotion, so much attachment, that's the thing you touch. But behind everything is a group of people that made the gear that you love and that defined a generation, that defined rock and roll, that defined the album you love, a microphone that someone sang into that gave you those words. And oh, let's be, I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but you'll watch it anyway. Bands.
Mhm. Band loyalty.
Is it with a band they will see it immediately. So if I bring this
Mhm.
this example now, so we keep the name of the band, and it's never worked, by the way, never. We keep the name of the band, but change everyone. Now, is that still the band? Are you still going to buy the album? Are you still going to love it the same way? Of course you won't. You will totally see it with bands. Guns N' Roses wasn't Guns N' Roses when it was just Axl,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
People hated on that shit. Even though I think Chinese Democracy was a kick-ass album.
It's a good album.
I mean, holy crap, the guitar playing on that.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
But-
And not just technical, but I mean, the tones, wow.
But I guess what you're getting at here is that then it's very obvious that it's about the people
It's
because
super
that's
obvious that
literally
it's about the people because
Yeah.
you clearly see. I mean, is
Yeah.
AC/DC now?
it's only Angus Young and the singer, right? I think that's the only
Yeah, I think so.
original. I mean, Angus is the only
Drummer
original.
wanted someone killed. Malcolm died. I think the bass player is.
I think they have a new bass player, but I'm not sure. But
So is that AC/DC? Are you still going to go to the concert and just have the same feeling about the band?
Mhm.
Likely because, seeing AC/DC once all good.
yeah,
Everyone wants to do that. Bon Jovi got a new bass player, got a new guitar player who's a total hack and doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. I once tried to show Phil X how to play Highway to Hell correctly because he's using the wrong fingering. Phil, you're using the wrong fingering. No, you're using a less efficient fingering. Anyway, but yeah, of course. The thing is, it's not the same Bon Jovi.
Mhm.
Without Richie, it's different. But we see this immediately and
Yeah.
have opinions on it.
Mhm.
But with a Marshall amp, nobody goes and says, "Oh, it's now designed by this guy." The designer is the player of the gear,
Mhm.
in a way, right?
yeah,
The designer and the person who builds it, they're the player. That's
The artist.
The artist.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing. But we see it so immediately.
Mhm.
Nobody wants to listen to Oasis without both,
Noel.
whatever their names are.
yeah. You can't have Oasis without Noel. But Liam Gallagher, he knows that, so now he's just doing his Liam Gallagher thing.
But you see, that's completely obvious to you.
yeah,
And it's completely not obvious when
Yeah.
it comes to brands. With brands, we look at
we look. That's the thing.
the
Yeah.
logo,
Yeah.
and our loyalty remains with the brand and not with the people. And with the band, when our favorite guy in the band, where we know that's the guy responsible for the writing, everything, does his solo thing, we move on immediately. And the name, who cares?
Yeah.
But if we take Gibson, where literally everything changed other than the name, that is literally a band where the band name stays the same and not a single person in the band remains the same.
Yeah.
You would never move on with a band logo. Never.
Mhm.
So why do we do this with the gear? It makes no sense. It is less transparent with the gear because you would have to follow someone like us who maybe talks about it, which we rarely do.
Mhm.
Or, as you said, Google it. Are those still the same people? Do they still have the same values? You might have loved a brand because they do lots of humanitarian things. And the new people don't, because they don't give a fuck about humanitarian things. Or animalitarian things. What is humanitarian things when it's about animals? What do you know, John? What do you know? So, um, that's my brand about brand loyalty. I think brand loyalty is stupid. It should be people loyalty. I'm still looking at the mic. What is wrong with me? Holy crap! Oh my god, I'm such an idiot. Wow. Yeah. So now I'm looking at the monitor. Try to you googly your favorite brands at the time when you bought the gear or loved the gear or liked an artist that played a certain piece of gear, and then try to find out what's today's state of it. Like you like Mesa Boogie, that's fine.
All right. Oh, here we go.
I never
All right.
did, but that's okay. You like Mesa Boogie. Are they still being designed by the same people? I think yes.
Think so.
Are they still being built by the same people? I think yes. Are they being owned by G-Fuckheads? Yes, it's now owned by Gibson. Now, how much control does Gibson have over margins, marketing, parts choice? I'm thinking not that much. I'm thinking they let them do their thing. So that's still fine. If your loyalty was to that gear and those people, I think it's still the same people. I don't like that it is owned by the G, so I wouldn't touch it. But
It's also very expensive.
it's also ridiculously expensive now. But yeah, I mean, it's Ampede amps, some of the greatest shit on the planet. And Peter Ahrens, who was responsible for those amps, one of the best amp designers in the world, moved on, worked on the SLO 100, did stuff for Tone King, did stuff for Synergy. Now, where do you put your loyalty? Which brand? Because that's the one guy behind a bunch of products for these brands. Then he moved on and designed the 5 or 6 actually new Bad Cat amps. Now, if you loved Ampede amps and you loved what he did for the SLO, well, are you not going to buy the Soldano or a Tone King? Try to get your hands on an old Ampede or buy a Bad Cat amp. Because that's literally the same guy behind it. It's just relevant to know this if your brand loyalty is there because of the quality and the tone of the gear. But I think brand loyalty is about image.
Yeah.
Do you want an Ampede logo behind you? Do you want a Bad Cat logo behind you? Or does it make you feel like Steve Vai when you have a Soldano logo behind you? And I think that feeling like Angus, feeling like Slash, if you want to feel like Slash, you need the Gibson logo on the guitar and the Marshall logo behind you. However, both those pieces of gear that you will purchase nowadays have nothing at all in the slightest to do with the gear that made you want that gear. Isn't that just the fucked uppest thing? Wouldn't you agree?
I agree. Yeah. Yeah. You're illuminating me.
So you technically would have to find out what is, if it's about the sound, if you want to get that sound and not the logo, you would have to find out who's making the closest replica or the closest approximation of a kick-ass Marshall that Slash would have played. Maybe even getting like the new Magnetone amp. Maybe that gets you the closest to what Slash sounds like, even though it's never going to look like the M. What's it? It's an M. M-A. But you're getting close with the letters there. And find out, who makes one of the finest Les Pauls on the market. That's probably Panucci. And maybe get that. If logo and headstock shape isn't, if sound is the most important thing to you and getting to those, then follow the people. Following the people isn't going to get you that logo. You decide. I don't know. I like people. I like supporting people. I like sticking with the people that are passionate about the gear, which is why I don't have certain logos. I'd rather have good sounding gear. So, the Big Tampon Man and the Duck U Man signing off. Rant from the balcony. You asked for it. Here we are with Coffee doing that. And we're going to film another one about, oh God, Tonewood and shit, right? You're gonna talk about that. I'm just gonna look away.
We're gonna talk about that.
Uh,
Bye bye.
Animals at the end. Subscribe to. John talks about amps and modelers channel. What's it called? In modeler channel, you have too many amps behind you.
Sonic Drive Studio.
Oh, that's what.
I talk more on my own channel than in this video.
He also has too many amps and modelers, and he knows way more about it than I do. So follow him for amp geek outage. Animals at the end. Yeah, that's what happened.